At 6:42 a.m., outside a broken-down laundromat in Kearney, New Jersey, Jax Marrow stood there with a bag of damp clothes and realized something that scared the hell out of him. For the first time in his life, no one on that street knew who he was. Not his name, not his money, not the power that used to make rooms go dead silent when he walked in. He was just another guy in cracked boots and a jacket with a broken zipper. Invisible. And that was exactly what he wanted. But he had no idea this little experiment was about to cost him the only real thing he'd ever find. Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Life Echo, where we tell the stories that actually stick with you. If you're new here, hit like if you're already hooked, and subscribe for more real stories about love, lies, and what happens when someone finally stops hiding. Let's dive in. His real name was Jackson Harrove, 37, built like someone who could end a conversation with one look. $400 million in clean money. Probably double that in the kind of business most people don't talk about. Penthouse views, private jets, people who jumped when he called. But none of it felt real anymore. Every woman in his life had wanted something. The college girlfriend who disappeared the second the money slowed. The model whose love matched the size of her allowance. The attorney he actually trusted until he found the wire taped under the table. So one morning, Jackson made a decision most rich guys would call insane. He was going to disappear. He created Jax Marrow, 35, recently laid off from a warehouse job. No car, no credit cards. A crappy studio apartment in Kearney with a mattress on the floor and brown water dripping from the faucet. He ditched the Rolex, grew the beard, bought everything from Goodwill. His right-hand man, Pierce, thought he'd lost it. "You're really doing this?" Pierce asked, staring at the stained linoleum. 3 months, Jackson said, lacing up boots that already had holes. "No contact unless it's an emergency. I need to know if anyone can love me with nothing." 48 hours later, Jackson Harrove was gone. Jack started working the overnight shift at Freshmart, a sad little grocery store with wilted lettuce and fluorescent lights that gave you a headache by hour 4. Minimum wage plus $1 for nights. The bus driver looked right through him when he swiped his card. Customers at the store talked over him like he was part of the shelf. On the sidewalk, people stepped around him without even adjusting their stride. He tried dating on a free app. One girl unmatched the second. He said he worked retail. Another sat across from him at coffee, watched him count exact change, and suddenly remembered she had somewhere else to be. It was brutal, but it was honest. Then, on a damp Thursday evening in October, he saw her. Kylie Ellison came out of the community center across the street, carrying 2 cardboard boxes stacked so high she couldn't see over them. She was heavy-set, wearing a pilling blue cardigan and old sneakers. Her steps were careful on the cracked sidewalk. She stumbled, just a little, on an uneven slab. Boxes wobbled. A guy with earbuds sidestepped her without slowing down. No one else even glanced. Jack stood up. "Hey, can I grab one of those?" She peered around the boxes. Brown eyes, warm but wary. "I've got it," she said. "You sure? Your arms look like they're about to file a complaint." She studied him for a second. The beard, the broken zipper, the tired eyes. Deciding if he was safe. "Top 1, she finally said. "It's lighter." They loaded the boxes into her dented white Toyota. The trunk smelled like old books and crayons. "Thanks," she said, brushing hair out of her face. "I'm Kylie." "Jax." She didn't ask for his number. Just got in and drove off. That 90-second conversation felt more real than anything he'd had in years. Kylie ran a free reading program called ReadBridge for kids who didn't have books at home. She worked 2 jobs, still had student loans from a degree she barely used, and sometimes had to choose between rent and groceries at the end of the month. She thrift shopped for everything, including her own clothes, and was constantly burned out from writing grants that got rejected. But she showed up every day. Jack started seeing her around, unlocking the center early with coffee in one hand and keys in her teeth, chasing kids down the sidewalk laughing, sitting alone on the steps eating a sandwich while reading a beat-up paperback. He watched how the world treated her. Whispers at the grocery store. People making jokes about the floor holding her weight. A guy at the bus stop deliberately moving away when it started raining so he wouldn't have to stand near her. She just kept going. Their second real talk happened in the pouring rain. Her car broke down outside Freshmart, steam pouring from the hood. Jax sat on the wet curb with her while they waited for a tow. "You don't have to stay," she said. "I know." She laughed a little tired. "Welcome to the Bro Club. Meetings are Tuesdays. The only refreshment is anxiety and sometimes off-brand cereal if we're lucky." He told her bits of truth wrapped in lies. She told him about growing up feeling like she was always too much, too big, too loud, never quite right. About diets that made her cry and the day she decided to stop shrinking herself for other people. "I just want to be treated like a person," she said quietly. "Whether I lose weight or not." He was falling for her. Hard. But the lies were getting heavier. There was one close call. A nosy neighbor at his apartment building started asking too many questions about why a guy who looked like him had no real past. Jax shut it down, but it was a reminder. The clock was ticking. Then came the night. Everything almost fell apart. Boyd Wessler, the slimy property manager, showed up during the Rebridge holiday event and announced he wasn't renewing the lease. The kids went quiet. Kylie's hands shook as she tried to keep it together for them. Later, she told Jax what Boyd had really said when they were alone, the arrangement he suggested, the way he looked at her. Jax's blood boiled, but he couldn't explode as Jax Marrow. He handled it the long way, anonymously tipping off a reporter and legal aid. Boyd's shady dealings started crumbling. But the reporter started digging into the mystery man who dropped off perfect financial docs in Goodwill clothes. One evening on the community center steps, Kylie confronted him. "A reporter called me. She couldn't find anything on Jax Marrow. No real history. Nothing before 2 months ago." She looked at him, voice cracking. "Who are you?" He told her everything. The real name. The $400 million. The test. The exes. The experiment to see if anyone could love him broke. When he finished, she stood up slowly. "You lied to me every single day. You sat here, listened to me talk about my family, about being called fat when I was 8, about how people don't really stick around for me. And the whole time you were playing a game?" Her voice broke. "Do you even get how messed up that is? I trusted you. I told you things I don't tell anyone. And I was just part of your little science project." "Kylie, it stopped being a test the moment." "Stop. Just leave. I need you to leave right now." He left. Back in his real penthouse, everything felt empty. The marble floors, the views, it all looked fake. He still helped from the shadows. Bought the building quietly. Set up a trust for Rebridge so it could run for years with real funding. Made sure Boyd faced real consequences. 3 weeks later, on a cold January evening, the front desk called. There was a woman in the lobby asking for him. Kylie Ellison. She stepped into the penthouse in her pilling blue cardigan and looked around. "So this is what 400 million looks like," she said flatly. "It's echoey." She didn't sit. "I know it was you. The building. The money for the kids. Thank you. That means something. But I'm still so angry with you." Her eyes were bright. "You had all the power. I had none. And I didn't even know I was being tested. That feels dehumanizing." "You're right," Jackson said quietly. "It was selfish. Arrogant. I told myself I was looking for something real, but I was really just protecting myself from getting hurt again. I rigged the whole thing." He paused. "What I learned wasn't that you were real. I already knew that. What I learned is that I wasn't." She didn't forgive him that day. Not fully. "This isn't a movie ending," she said. "I can't just jump into this. Into your world. I need time. And proof that you see me. The real me. Not as some test you passed. Not as a symbol. Just me. I'll prove it," he said. "However long it takes." He started showing up at the community center as himself. No suit, no fake poverty. Just Jackson bringing real coffee, reading to the kids, fixing things that were broken, learning their names. It was slow, messy. There were days she pulled back because the trust issues hit hard. Days he had to sit with the guilt of what he'd done. But they kept choosing to show up. One spring evening, months later, they sat on those same community center steps as the sun went down. "Jax," she said softly, still using the old name sometimes. "Yeah. Thank you for sitting on that curb in the rain when you didn't have to." He looked at her, the cardigan, the tired but steady eyes, the woman the world tried to make invisible. "Kylie, that was the only thing I've ever had to do. This wasn't a perfect happy ending. Not yet. It was two imperfect people choosing to keep building something real, one honest conversation, one small kindness, one risky step at a time. And sometimes that's exactly what love looks like when you strip everything else away." If this story hit you, especially the part where someone finally chooses to stay, drop a comment. Would you be able to forgive someone who lied about who they really were if you knew they truly loved you in the end? Tell me which moment got you the most, the rain curb, the confrontation, or the slow rebuild. We read every comment. Share this with someone who needs to hear that real love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up anyway. New stories every week on Real Life Echo. See you in the next one.